Hello and welcome to Perspectives, where we take a deep dive into the issues of the day and where we take a look at people's opinion on such issues. I am Ruth Osime. Welcome back to Perspectives, the Honorized News. Over a week ago, US President Donald Trump made remarks about the ongoing killings in Nigeria, warning that if the violence continues, America may be forced to step in. The reactions here were sharp and divided. Some called it interference. Others said it highlighted a reality we have avoided for too long. But at the heart of it, Nigerians are dying. Christian and Muslim communities have both been affected, and the groups responsible continue to operate under ideological labels we often hesitate to name. If we continue to argue about the messenger instead of the message, the violence will continue. If we continue to downplay the victims because of politics or identity, the cycle will deepen. And if we continue to avoid difficult truths, we risk normalizing what should never be normal. This is about one country, our country, and the value we place on human life. It is about whether every Nigerian, regardless of faith, region, identity, or class, is entitled to safety, dignity, and protection under the law. Today, we are not defending Trump. We're not defending the government. We're simply confronting the moment we are in and what it means for our security and our unity and our future. We're heading for a short break, but stay with us because coming up shortly after now will be a catch-up of what's happening in Anambra State with Arise correspondent Emeka Monye and a guest who is standing by with him. Join us again. Welcome back to Perspective, the Honorized News. I'm now being joined by our Perspective focus today by security experts Chidi Omeje and a social critic and activist Peter Eka. Good morning and good to have you both on Perspectives this morning. Good morning. So let me start with you, Peter. Trump's statement has split opinions. Yeah. There are those who say that he had no right to tell us how to rule our country, and there are those who are like, maybe we need somebody to come and tell us what we need to do. So there's a split. But what's your view? What does his comment reveal about our national security at large?
Thank you very much for having me. I think I stand with the Nigerian people. I stand with the victims of this senseless killing and, of innocent Nigerians, and whatever pressure that will be needed to put on our government to do what they ought to do should be done. I think the events of the last few days have been a monumental tragedy. It's a disgrace on every level that it took the intervention of a foreign government to put pressure on the Nigerian government to take seriously what the Constitution describes as the primary responsibility of government, which is the protection of life and property of the citizen. And nobody should question the intervention of the United States. The current president, where they were in opposition, they went in 2014 to the United States of America on the same killing of Nigerians, demanding or requesting for intervention. And so when a man's house is on fire, with whoever that helps to put it out, that is the interest of the person. So as it is today, the question is, the US president said the Nigerian government should move fast. So the pressure should be on the Nigerian government to move fast, because I mean, if it went other climes, there should be some resignations at this point. Because when you have a series of events where citizens are being killed and there is no action from the leadership, or rather actions that seem to suggest that leaders are rather complicit in protecting criminals or giving them, a soft landing as against protecting innocent citizens, I think it is a monumental tragedy. And whatever that needs to be done, I mean, we are able to take grants and loans and whatever from the United States of America, so we should be able to take their warning and move fast. So President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, wherever you are, you should move fast to end these killings. Okay, it's good that you said that. Let's have Chidi in the house. Chidi, are you there? Okay, Mr. Chidi, it's so good to see you this morning. Okay, you've just heard what Peter Eka just said about this wake-up call. So from a security standpoint, do you think that comment was an attack on Nigerian sovereignty? That's Donald Trump's comment. Was an attack on Nigerian sovereignty, or a wake-up call showing that the world is now noticing what we are denying at home?
By the way, Peter, good to have the platform with you. You're one of my favorite activists, so I appreciate you.
Thank you very much, my pleasure.
From the state sovereignty perspective, you would you know, you will want to agree that the threat, or rather the proclamation by Trump, or let's put it this way, the threat is a direct threat as far as I'm concerned. Is somewhat, if you want to look at it clearly, it points to a violation of our sovereignty, because I mean sovereignty means that a particular country has the right over its territory, over its internal contradictions, over its conflicts and all that, so that it only takes United Nations declaration or permission from that particular country before any foreign entity can come in. But then that's where that ends. There's also an evolving, United Nations treaty, what they call it, responsibility to protect, R2P. What it says is that if a country hides under that sovereignty claim to allow for a perceived genocide or gross human rights violations, that international communities, superpowers, they have the right to intervene. So in this point, in this perspective, you now see that probably Trump's threat is more like a symbolic, wake-up call for the country, for the administration of this country to sit up, to face the reality that indeed there are certain issues going on that are inimical to the global peace, that are inimical to human rights, that is not acceptable. So we have to be very careful about this. The excitement is there. I could see even from the tone, from the voice, from out there in the street, and a lot of people think that this is the best news ever heard. In the Middle Belt out there, probably in Plateau, in Benue, a lot of folks are almost celebrating that indeed maybe God have heard their prayers. But if you sit back and have a sober reflection of this, you see that it's not always good to have foreign powers coming into a country to do this kind of intervention, because they never left any country in better shape. So for me, I think the best thing for me, what had happened now is a clear wake-up call. And by the way, haven't you seen that in the past week or two since this issue started, that there has been, some mellow. We don't talk so much about 2027 or decoupling to APC. I think everybody is now focused on what Trump has said. So to me, if this Trump's intervention will bring us back to our senses, to know that we have an existential challenge, we have a serious security problem, then so be it. But as far as I'm concerned, Trump's statement is a wake-up call. It's a clear wake-up call, and it has actually, woken up our interest, our conscience to see that indeed certain people are going through a lot in this country, and it is very clear to everybody to see that the country is not normal.
Thank you, Chidi. Let's get back to Peter in the house. Why are Nigerians angry at the messenger instead of the message? Do you understand? Is pride now replacing urgency in our country? And then secondly too, they keep going on about, it's not just Christians that were killed, it's also Muslims. But the truth of the matter is that nobody is talking about the originators of the killings themselves.
Very important. I mean, it is not about whether being angry at the messenger or taking the message. You cannot even be angry at the messenger because, as the other, my colleague has rightly said, there is a responsibility to protect under the United Nations Charter, and that a foreign government can step in. The US has invested a lot. A lot of our military officers are trained in the US, trained to handle their equipment. They sell most of our weaponry hardware come from the United States. And if the government of the state seems to be folding their arms while these kind of issues are going on, perceived genocide, and all of these kind of hate crimes and events, there is a responsibility to step in. And then if we talk about, Muslims being killed and Christians being killed, the fundamental question will be, who is carrying out the killings?
Exactly.
And then if we now agree, because what it seems now is like, it is more shameful. Our response is not that there are no killings. It's that, US, you are not even saying it as bad as it is.
Yes.
So Christians are being killed, Muslims are being killed. Now the question will be, if Christians are being killed, Muslims are being killed, who has a problem with coming in to take out the killers?
Exactly.
I think there should be a mutual agreement that, look, Everybody is a victim of this issue, and then the terrorists themselves should be taken out. Who are the sponsors of terrorism? Who are the beneficiaries of terrorism?
That's a big question.
Because there is a track record. President Buhari, under President Jonathan, terrorists were almost confined to the forest. We had the infamous Sambisa forest. Today, under the APC government, terrorists are holding stakeholder meetings with security officials and government. So we have a situation where we have security and insecurity officials holding meetings, brandishing
and giving
arms,
advice.
and giving advice on how it should be run. President Buhari took out $1 billion from excess crude account and invested in insecurity. Somehow it exploded. When it was under Jonathan, where the President Tinubu now called on the competence of President Jonathan and asked him to resign, insecurity was almost localized within the northeastern region. Under the APC, the military is in active service across 36 states and the FCT. So right now, as it is, the question will be, what exactly is being done? And then you come as a president under this kind of administration, you outsource issues of defense to the National Security Advisor, and guess what? The president is chairing the Ministry of Petroleum. In a country where the last time President Tinubu traveled on a vacation, more than 100 persons were killed in a space of 2 days. That president is heading Ministry of Petroleum and not Defense as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. So when you see this level of mischief across board, people are being killed, bandits will hold peace deal the next day, they are also carrying out attacks. It calls to question the capacity of the government to protect its people. Okay. So the same question that President Tinubu asked the Goodluck Jonathan administration should be thrown to him. Has the APC-led federal government lost the capacity to protect Nigerians? If so, then they should take the advice they gave to the administration. But if not, please heed the advice of Mr. President Donald Trump and move very quickly to end this killing.
Okay, let's get back to you, Peter. You know, how do we separate Islam from extremism? Because how do we do that without demonizing peaceful Muslims themselves?
Yes.
But yet, at the same time, not allowing extremists to hide behind religion. How do we find a balance?
We must be honest with ourselves as a people. There are the majority of Muslims, I have Muslim friends, we relate with them, they are peace-loving people who just want a country to thrive. The question is, there is a problem when you always need to say that a religion is a religion of peace. That statement in itself, because religion should not be otherwise. And the leadership of, the northern part of the country must be honest with themselves. Is illiteracy and certain social vices being weaponized against the people? What kind of Islam, we must ask ourselves, is practiced in Qatar? What kind of Islam is practiced in Saudi Arabia? What kind of Islam is done in United Arab Emirates and in Bahrain that are moving technologically, growing and prosperous for across the citizens? How has our own religion only turned out to produce insecurity, poverty? How many of the children of the elite northerners are engaged in the kind of Almajiri system that they push forward? So we must come to the understanding that every person who is at the baseline, who is not at the upper class of society, is a victim. Religion is only being used as a cloth to cover. Both Christians are being killed, Muslims are being killed. And if you know truly, remember the incidents that happened when Deborah Yakubu was killed in Sokoto State, Usman Danfolo. Yes, stoned to death. Who was arrested? How many people were prosecuted? Some northern leaders who put out a tweet had to delete it for fear of backlash. There is a problem with that kind of society. In 2016, Deaconess Olawale Eunice, a Redeemed Christian Church of God evangelist in Kubwa, was butchered to death. Who was arrested, who was prosecuted. The vice president in that administration was a redeemed pastor. What was done about it? So when there is a track record of a failure of the judicial system where there is selective justice, then everybody becomes a victim. At this point now, if Christians, or there is a perception that is Christian genocide, and then Muslims also believe that Muslims are being killed, is it not an opportunity for everybody to unite and say, look, we are all victims, let us take this out? So it lies on the leadership of even both religious sectors and also the people to know that in the end of all of this, when all is said and done, those of us who do not have the opportunity, in Nigeria, one of the offenses you will commit is to be poor. Whether you are Islam or Christian, the only person who that Sharia one time has caught was somebody who stole, his hand was amputated. A governor in the north was caught on camera receiving dollar and stacking inside Babariga. The president at the time said that the video was probably doctored. So laws are meant for the poor. So you can even recite the Quran from back to back, but when it comes to the issue of dispensing of justice, you may not be held to the same standard with an elite or somebody of opportunity.
It's good that you mentioned that, because there's also the speculation that some people in power actually encourage this conflict because they use it to their advantage. What's your take on that?
It is.
And there are also, those who believe that the governors of the states where these things happen should be sanctioned one way or the other when these occurrences do come to pass.
Anti-roots. I think it was the late Sani Abacha who said when insecurity lasts beyond 24 hours, then there should be the hand of government in it.
Yes.
The former Nigerian Minister for Defense, our first Minister for Defense, T.Y. Danjuma, stood on a platform in Taraba and made a bold statement. He said the military, they are not neutral. They collude with the terrorists. A Minister for Defense. What was the investigation that was carried out? We have seen pictures and videos and allegations of where terrorists were found in certain government houses and nothing was done about it. So when there is a perception that instead of protecting life of citizens, persons in government, why is it that insecurity has become almost a multinational economic investment? The more money you pour into it, the more it increases. So definitely it has become business. So if you can allow this kind of criminality to fester, the same Nigerian government that rejected the intelligence of the United States decided to start Operation Safe Corridor. How do you do repentant terrorists in the middle of a war when the victims of their killings and terrorism are still languishing in internally displaced person camps in conditions that are subhuman? That same country was spending billions rehabilitating known terrorists, allegations with even engaging them into the country's armed forces, and you say there is no collusion. You cannot say you are neutral. So until Nigerians realize that this is beyond what is being said is less than what is not said. For the past, you know how many days now you can see the government running from pillar to post. For 2 years, you needed President Trump to tell you before you can appoint diplomats. We had no ambassadors manning our embassies across the country. The president they are more concerned with trying to pull people from one party and entering into the APC so that you can begin to sing on your mandate you shall fall. It is a colossal failure and a shame, but Nigerians must wake up and save ourselves.
Okay. Let me get to our Abuja guest. So Chidi, you've heard what Peter has had to say so far, but I want to ask because there was an allegation that an American captive was once held by Boko Haram, and America within 2 days, not 2 months, not 2 weeks, within 2 days rescued their citizen. So what I want to now ask is that if the US can rescue its citizens inside Nigeria within days, what stops deeper intelligence sharing? What stops it? What stops them sharing that with us? Is it lack of trust or political obstruction? I'm confused.
Oh, well, I mean, picking up just one victim of kidnap is not the same as dealing with the entire, gamut of the kidnap industry. In the
it's the length of time in which it was done.
Monumental.
In the length of time in which it was done, this was 2 days. Oh, yeah. So that means, obviously...
In any case, I mean, look, I get your point, but the thing is, we have to really come down to where we are. We are Nigeria. We're not United States of America. We have not gotten the kind of technology that they have.
But we can work with them.
Should be talking about now is how do we... Yeah, definitely. That's what I'm coming to. You got it spot on. The point we are right now is the point where we can, seek for robust collaboration with America and other powers that have the capability to help us. As it is now, it's not. I don't think that doing it alone, by us, is the right way to go. But I will always urge that this idea of this excitement about America coming to do the job for us without our permission is not the best way to go. What we should talk about is how do we develop a robust structure to see a collaboration between America and Nigeria to see that they can share their technology, share their intelligence, share their their experience, and then probably give us those leverages that can help us. I do not foresee a situation where we have foots on the ground or have American, military camps across Nigeria. It never spells good for us. But look, the goal is actually to see how we can surmount these security challenges across the country. So any way the Americans can help us by making sure that we defeat terrorism is what every discerning Nigerian is talking about. But you see, we'll have to look at the bigger picture. Yes, you consider the immediate. Yes, you see the leadership failures. Yes, you see the incapabilities of some of our security agencies. Yes, you see the poor security architecture that have made it possible for us to rely only on the military. playing down on the role of the police. We have to see that we have to stop that idea that the military, the security, the intelligence and response agencies are not collaborating well. How do we threaten this? These are the issues we should be talking about now. I've gone beyond the excitement about the fact that Americans say they are coming. I don't think that's what should be exciting us. What should be talking about right now is how do we make sure that beyond the euphoria, beyond that anticipation, that we can get something on a sustainable basis without actually impugning on integrity of our sovereignty. This is what every nation should look at. I'm looking beyond the immediate administration, because I mean the crisis didn't start now. Now, if you look at the charges from the American side, that they actually talked about from 2009. So meaning that this thing has been a cumulative issue that have come to a boil now. So I am looking at where we are right now and where we ought to be in the nearest future. But of course, I'm mindful of the fact that a lot of Nigerians need that respite. There are people who are actually under terrible condition, that brought about by these security challenges. So any which way that we can stem the tide is welcome by me. But I'm only saying, let us look at the bigger picture. If we think that the best thing to do is to bring foreign boots on ground, at the end of the day, it might turn out not to be the best option. That's exactly what I'm trying to make.
Thank you so much, Chidi, for your deep analysis of this situation. I wish we had a much longer time. Unfortunately, our episode was cut short because of the Anambra elections, and I hope to invite you again for us to speak more on this issue. Thank you so much, Chidi Emeje, and thank you so much, Peter Eka. I cannot wait to invite you again for another fiery episode.
We will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So what happens next will define us. Not America, not the international community, us. The world may comment, it may criticize, it may even offer assistance. But the work of protecting Nigeria belongs to Nigerians. And the cost of doing so is already too high. And as I keep saying, life is a learning curve. I hope we'll have learned a thing or two from this Donald Trump's message. That's all we have time for today. You'll be watching Perspectives here on Arise News with me, Ruth Osime. Until same time next week, always endeavor to keep things in proper perspective. Do have a great week.